The game playing's over, or at least it should be. Our nation is less safe today because the Republican leader allowed crucial law enforcement authorities to expire during his watch. We can solve that problem today by making sure we pass USA Freedom and sending it to the White House expeditiously. But the Republican leader is still urging the Senate to make changes that would cause further delay. It's estimated it would take at least a week longer to get all this done if any of these amendments are accepted. The chairman of the Judicial Committee in the House doesn't want changes. Sensenbrenner wants no changes. McCarthy's in writing saying he wants no changes. The president wants no changes. What is this all about? It's kind of the wrong picture. They're still pushing forward for these changes. If we change this bill, as we know, it'll have to go back to the House. And that's time-consuming and wrong. No one knows how long it will take. I've given an estimate, but no one really knows. But we would be dark with much of our security operation during that period of time. House Republicans have warned us to not change the bill. They've been doing it for 2 weeks. House Majority Leader, McCarthy said, and I quote, would bring real challenges for the bill. The best way to make sure Americans are protected is for the Senate to pass USA Freedom Act now. Finally, co-sponsors of this legislation has stated, if you amend the bill, you're going to kill it. For example, my counterpart from Nevada, Senator Heller, said that. And you've had Senator Lee speaking, so it's not, they're not unanimous in their efforts to change this. The simple majority vote, I think it would be really bad for the country if, in fact, they agreed to do it. I think virtually every Democrat will vote the right way. There may be one or two that won't, but that's okay. It's up to the Republicans to head this country in the right direction. We hoped, but it hasn't been that way in recent days. It'd be height of irresponsibility to put our national security at risk simply because one senator wants to save face. Let's do the responsible thing, get this bill to President Obama as quickly as we can. Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Keeping American people safe and ensuring our national security is, of course, our most important duty as United States Senators. Balancing that security with the privacy of our citizens is no easy task, but we've done it with the USA Freedom Act, which passed the House of Representatives 338 to 88. While the President and the overwhelming majority, bipartisan majority in Congress, and the American people support these reforms, Senate Republican leaders have done everything they can to dilute, deny, and delay these changes. Senate Republicans wasted precious time as the clock ran out on key national security authority, putting their own political interest ahead of the national interest. Well, enough is enough. We as senators are not here to serve as extras in a presidential campaign commercial. With new threats to America emerging constantly, and at a time of alarming reports of overreach by our intelligence gathering operations, the Senate should finally pass these crucial reforms on a bipartisan basis. I'd like to just say one closing word. Was it 10 days ago, I think, that we fell 3 votes short of passing the USA Freedom Act? We could have avoided this catastrophe just by simply counting the votes and having bipartisan cooperation from the Majority Leader.
Well, thank you. Senator McConnell has bungled this issue from start to finish, and now at the 11th hour, he's risking our national security just to save a little face. Rather than doing the right thing for our country and passing the USA Freedom Act that passed the House with an astounding 338 votes, a balance. This bill found a balance rarely seen in this body or the other body. Democrats from the most liberal to the most conservative Republicans, tech, security, our law enforcement, privacy interests, all agreeing on a bill. And Senator McConnell can't bring himself to support it. He can't bring himself to see the handwriting on the wall that this is eventually what's going to pass. But at the same time, he is risking our security by extending this drama so he can save face. Senator McConnell's efforts to amend this bill could, at best, extend the amount of time these programs are at blackout phase, and at worst, they could actually kill the bill in the House, and people in the House have said so. Republicans in the House have made clear the Senate should pass the bill as is without amendments, that any other path would threaten our national security and threaten the viability of any future bill. Now, Senator McConnell made a bet several weeks ago when he decided to attempt to deal with this 11th hour in the face of obvious opposition from his Kentucky colleague. He lost. Senator McConnell lost back then. Now, rather than taking his chips and going home, Senator McConnell's choosing to double down with our nation's security at risk. He is gambling with our national security. It's time for him to fold.
Well, this has really gone on long enough. Republican on Republican fights have turned what should have been a clean debate over our national security and civil liberties into an embarrassment. Majority Leader McConnell was finally pushed into allowing us to move on a bill that many Democrats and Republicans thought we should have debated and finished already. Now we're here, past the deadline. It's time to get it done. Republicans have put political games ahead of responsible governing on this issue for long enough. There is no reason to keep going any longer. No more amendment games, no more delays. Pass the bill, send it to the president. Let's move on.
We'll take some questions.
Senator Reid, do you expect your caucus to vote, all of them to vote against these amendments?
Yeah, I think there may be, on separate amendments, there may be one or two that would vote the different way, but generally speaking, yes.
Come up when Mr. McDonough was in your caucus today?
Pardon me?
Did Mr. McDonough mention this in the caucus at all today?
Mention what?
The Patriot Act debate?
He talked about a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff he talked about, not just one thing. You're going to have to talk a little louder. Yes. We're just going to move to it. We don't need a vote on that. But that doesn't mean we're going to get off the bill once we get on it. We'll see what happens. The president said he's going to veto it, so I think it really is kind of a waste of time, but that's the way it is. We waste a lot of time here in recent months. That's it? Oh.
There's an IG report out this week about problems at the TSA.
About what in TSA?
Problems at the TSA.
Uh-huh.
Unable to discuss. What's your reaction to that? What do you think should be done?
Well, I think the first thing that needs to be done is the committees of jurisdiction need to take a look at this, and we need to hear from the White House on this. I haven't heard from my ranking members on the committees of jurisdiction, and I haven't heard from the White House on this yet, so I really have not formulated an opinion.
Yeah.
Chuck?
Yes, I got a briefing this morning on this. It's just utterly amazing that out of 70 attempts to breach the TSA barriers from taking dangerous things into airports and on planes, that 67 got through. Wow. Thank God they weren't terrorists, that they were our own Code Red team going through. But this is alarming, nothing short of alarming. And we need the TSA to examine how they're training their personnel, what kind of equipment they have. They need a top-to-bottom look at this and a turning inside out of this agency in terms of security. This was done because the Brooklyn DA a while ago was able to saw that guns were smuggled in the Atlanta airport. So we asked the TSA to check the other airports. The IG did this, but the results are astounding, troubling, and demand not just a minor response from the TSA, but a top-to-bottom examination and overhaul. Well, look, all I've gotten is a briefing on the report. We haven't seen the report yet, so it's premature, but you need a lot of changes. Already, the Secretary of Homeland Security has removed the acting director and put someone else in its place.
Yes.
Obama's blaming the 0.7% contraction in the first quarter on Obama's policies. It says there's too much regulation. The Republican
We've had some of the most significant job growth in the history of the country. During the almost 7 years, 6.5 years that President Obama has been in office, we've had tremendous job growth. The unemployment rate has dropped significantly. Stories are out today again. Home building is on the upsurge. Healthcare costs are down. We have an economy that could be doing a lot better, and it would be doing a lot better if we had some help from the public sector. There have been many articles written, statements made about the need for government to be able to get back to where they used to be and be able to do their jobs. You can't look at a federal any agency that isn't starved for resources, not one. And as a result of this, it's spilled out over into the states and local governments. They're also been hammered because the federal government's not doing what they're supposed to, and there is no better example of that, and you're going to hear a lot from us the next 5 or 6 weeks, and that's surface transportation. I mean, how can this country allow 64,000 bridges to go unrepaired? They're structurally deficient. One of the Democratic senators did a press event yesterday out at the Memorial Bridge. It's structurally deficient. We have over half of our highways are not. They would get an F if you were to grade them, and these are jobs. This would improve the economy so significantly. Remember, for every $1 billion we spend on highways, bridges, dams, it creates almost 50,000 high-paying jobs. So ask the propounder of that question why they will not allow government to do the job they're supposed to do.
What do you think the vehicle for moving an infrastructure package would be?
All we need is the Republicans to give us a few votes. It's there. We're waiting for them. And the next 5 weeks, we're going to find out how vitally important it is that we do a surface transportation bill. And we've had no better spokesperson than Senator Durbin to talk about this. The next 5 or 6 weeks is going to be led by Senator Schumer to lay out a picture as to what needs to be done. And we're not going to. I think I can represent the caucus fairly well here. We're not going to agree to the 32nd or 33rd short-term extension of the highway bill. We're not going to do it anymore. We're through with that.
On the defense authorization, do you think that Senator McCain is going to be wasting his time being out on the floor for days and days and days?
Yes, John McCain and I like him very much. He's opinionated. I am once in a while. And I think that when he first saw what they had done to the defense authorization bill, he went sky high. How can they do this? It's wrong. Now he's joined with them in doing this. I think that until they do something with getting rid of sequestration, it's a gesture in futility what they're doing.
Question on trade, Senator Reid. I know you opposed the Trans-Pacific Partnership and all these trade deals. Do you have any indication realistically of how long it will be before Congress gets its up or down vote if the House approves TPA in the coming weeks? And also, if the House does approve that, is it game over? Is there any chance that Congress could vote this deal down eventually?
I've been relieved with legislative matters in the past, but no one gave me more appreciation. I'm glad we were off of this bill. I don't like it, didn't like it. I'm sorry it passed the Senate. I wish them luck in the House. I'm through.